Hey guys, how's it going? So today I have some wrestling news for you. So according to WrestlingInc.com, Forbes.com, and TMZ, and also Complex.com, apparently Hulk Hogan is close to making a deal to return back to WWE. And honestly, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that they're making a deal for him to come back. I'm just surprised it's taken this long for them to do it. I mean, I don't remember how long ago that tape was released, but I mean they seem to really want to keep their distance from this guy for a while. I mean they went out of their way above and beyond to make sure this guy wasn't mentioned. I think they took him off their WWE webpage. I think they took him out of the Hall of Fame webpage. I think they just like snubbed this guy completely. And I've always been of the belief that he'd be back. Like even when this first came out, I still believed that he'd be back at some point. And it's now or never. I mean, Hulk is one of the few people remaining from his era, and he's like one of the last, if not the only, giant name from that era. I mean, I guess besides like Ric Flair, but he's like one of the last of that kind of wrestlers from back in the day. And he's not getting any younger. I'm not saying that he's going to die anytime soon, but if they kept waiting and waiting and waiting, it may have gotten to the point where he couldn't come back, and he wasted the opportunity. Um, with that said, I'm not really sure what he's gonna do. I mean, I guess he could make like brief appearances at like WrestleMania or like at pay-per-views or come back for special events. But the guy can't wrestle. The guy I don't see being a general manager. I mean, I don't think that it would be wise for him to be like an on-air character on a weekly basis. I don't think that'd be a good idea. So even if he comes back, I'm not really sure what he'll do. I'm guessing he'll just like make guest appearances or be like a Ric Flair or like a Shawn Michaels where they just kind of come back for guest appearances, and like maybe at WrestleMania he comes back with the grand entrance. But that does lead into another point. Since WrestleMania has passed and since WrestleMania won't be for another year, I'm kind of interested to see what event or when, if they do bring him back, what event that they'll re-debut him with. Because I have always been of the belief that if they were going to when they bring him back, that it would be at WrestleMania as like a grand surprise. But because they didn't do that, and besides like SummerSlam, and I think today is Backlash if I remember correctly. Besides that, I'm not really sure what events they could really bring him back for. I mean, I guess they could just bring him back as a surprise randomly. I mean, that'd be more predictable than people expecting him to come back at WrestleMania. But yeah, I'm not really surprised. And as far as the tape goes, it's Hulk Hogan. You really can't take anything the guy says serious, or not serious, but you can't really take anything the guy says to heart, or even really believe anything he says. I mean, the tape, I do believe he felt that way when he was talking on that tape. But as far as the apologies and the interviews he's done afterwards, I mean, it's all theater. I mean, this guy is just doing whatever he has to do to get back into the company because that's what he wants to do. I mean, he even said in that Good Morning America interview years ago that he'd give his arm and a leg to get back into wrestling. And so, it's not like Terry Bollea has ever been this morally upstanding guy. I mean, the guy lies like he breathes air, so it's not like anything he says is actually genuine. I mean, at this point, he's just saying what he has to say to get back into the company. But, I'm just surprised it's taken this long. Like I said before, I know I keep going back to this, but I'm just surprised they've waited this long. I mean, I would have felt like after, maybe a year, 2 years, because I don't remember when this tape came out, but I do remember it being at least 2 to 3 years, I want to say. It's been a few years since that tape's come out, and I'm surprised that they have just been completely removed from this guy. They have not mentioned him, I don't think. I mean, the only mention or recognition they've had of him was on the Andre the Giant documentary that was on HBO, but that wasn't really technically with WWE. That was like a joint thing, I believe, with HBO and them. So it wasn't like they were the ones that reached out and had him come in on their behalf to do that. So that was like the only interaction I think both parties have had in the recent years. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that he'll come back? And if you guys think he's going to come back, when do you think he'll come back? Personally, I don't know when he'll come back. because if he was to come back last year, I would have guessed WrestleMania. And if this was later this year, I would have guessed the WrestleMania of next year. But looking at the future pay-per-view events for this year, I really don't see a big event where you could like bring back Hulk Hogan as like a grand surprise. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what happens next. I'm guessing that they will make this deal, and Hulk's going to do everything in his power to try and make this deal work. If he has to go on an apology tour, whatever he has to do, I'm sure he'll do it 10 times over. Whether he means any of it is another story, but besides that, I'm expecting that this deal will go through. I do not see this falling through unless another tape or something comes out after or during negotiations. Then I do not see this deal not going through. So, with that said, I will see you guys later, and until then, take it easy. Bye-bye.